Welcome, Evolutionary. It is thrilling for me to be here again, sharing some of these ancient and sacred teachings with you. I've got literally so much information, so many teachings to share with you. Sometimes I don't even know where to begin. I sat on my floor for hours last night in looking through some of my notes and drawings and artwork that have been given with me. But I really want to try to stay in the foundational stage, at least for the moment, to help you understand where I came from, to give you some fundamental, some foundational teachings that will help you expand your consciousness. So as I talked about last time, we talked about a two-dimensional aspect in moving this this level of consciousness to expand beyond the self-contained walls that we have put within our mind. These are limitations that have been programmed to us through society, through television, through a number of different things. Just because we've been asleep for so long, we have forgotten who we are. We are infinite beings. You are an infinite being. You are beyond what you could ever comprehend. So my goal today is to really kind of help you expand that consciousness just a little bit more. So as I talked about two-dimensional last time, now what about going in a completely different direction? So we go this direction. What does that open up for us? When we begin to see above and below, as above, so below, right? And then we can take this and tweak this and go in a completely different realm by looking at it from the observer as we grow and expand our consciousness, which I kind of hinted at right here. Let me give you a great example. So a great example is the infinity symbol. So remember, the whole thesis or theme to what I'm teaching is around harmonics and frequency. So the infinity symbol is this symbol right here, and it's been that symbol for a long, long time. So one of the things I want to share with you right now is how to change your perspective. So perspective is absolutely critical in how you look at things because it deals with a cognitive thought process in dealing with thought experiments. Now, thought experiments are things that you work through in your mind, which is actually what Albert Einstein used to create the theory of relativity and many, many other things. And all the great thinkers use thought experiments. So I want to help you understand how to create a thought experiment and look at things from a different perspective. So we look at this. Now, this infinity symbol is a two-dimensional symbol. This two-dimensional symbol really exemplifies how we look at it as a human being. But yet, when we step outside of the realm of being human, again, one of the mantras that I'm going to share with you is be more than human. Because you are more than human. This body is a temple. Actually, it's more than a temple. It's really an avatar. It is a plaything for our soul and our consciousness to really kind of learn and understand things that we can't necessarily learn in the esoteric realms, in the spiritual, in the etheric realms. So let's take a look at this. Now, as a two-dimension, it looks like a figure eight, right? Now, if I were to step out of my body, which I have, and I look at this from a top-down effect, it is no longer a figure eight. It is actually a circle. Now, it is a circle with an oscillation. So an oscillation is a frequency that is modulating back and forth. So this is actually a frequency like that is coming back and forth and cross. And I know my artwork is really bad right now. But the important thing to understand is that you can change your perspective. And once you change your perspective, you can go beyond and see beyond, which is the foundational mantra. So again, see beyond what you expect. Go beyond the extraordinary. So part of the framework that I created around See Beyond was to be able to see beyond more than what any human has seen before. And because of that, I've been able to open up gates and doors and portals and be able to see things that are not necessarily in a two-dimensional framework. I can see 3D, 4D, and really beyond. And what's really trippy is when you start seeing these things, as I mentioned, from above, as we see this oscillation, as a circle, it is not a figure eight. I promise you, it is not a figure eight. It is the Ouroboros symbol, but the Ouroboros, as you know, is round, but as you tweak it, it actually becomes this figure eight, which, again, from above, it represents an oscillation or a frequency. Hence, we live in a harmonic universe. Now, the next thing I really want to kind of hint on is when you understand this, you can go back to how we look at this And I want you to play around with some outer body experiences and experiments. So when I say play around with outer body experiences, what can you do? So as I mentioned, you're here and you're expanding, but now I want you to go up, which may be easier for most of you, and have this outer body experience in meditation where you're actually meditating above yourself. So again, begin to go up, begin to understand that it is a truer aspect of who you are, that you're able to move up and out of your body and exist in the etheric. So most people understand that we have an etheric body, but they don't understand that there is an etheric realm that is infinite beyond the scope of anything. So it is, well, it's beyond what we can comprehend as human beings, and I've played in this for quite some time, and there's a lot of different things which I'll show you in the etheric, how to navigate in the etheric. But for now, I just really want you to play around with getting out of your body. And so if you want to just sit above your body, that's really kind of how I learned in the beginning. And then you start tweaking things, because one of the interesting things about the etheric is there is no up and down. So in other words, now you may say, hey, we're standing up and down, right? Well, actually, no, we're on the side of a planet. So at some point in view, we're actually not really standing straight up, but it just has the appearance, the illusion that we are standing straight up. So what I want you to do is, once you figure out how to meditate or get comfortable with meditating out of your body, I want you to play around with flipping this body around. So in other words, here I am, let me do this, meditating, and then now I am meditating upside down and have a connection. Now you can play around with doing it below or doing it back to back. So there's so many different ways to play around with this and get comfortable. And this is something that was kind of trippy for me at first, because I'm so programmed, like the majority of us, in existing in this third dimension, but we see in our mind's eye, for the most part, in a two-dimensional reality. We don't really understand how to grasp this other dimensional aspect, which we are predisposed to. We actually have the ability to look and go beyond anything that we could possibly imagine. I said that just a minute ago, but I just want to really emphasize that point, is you are more capable of doing things that you could ever imagine. And actually, one of the quick stories that I'll share with you is I did ayahuasca years ago and did it multiple times. And finally, grandmother ayahuasca told me that I was not allowed to partake with her anymore. Or maybe it was my guides at that time, I don't know. But it was at kind of the tail end of about a 10-hour ayahuasca journey, plant medicine journey. And so I'm like, well, what do you mean? And she goes, you have to learn how to do this on your own. So basically, I guess the gauntlet was dropped. The challenge was put in place for me to be able to tap into the DMT resources, the pharmaceutical, suite of chemicals that reside within the human body, and learn how to activate them. And that's really my challenge with you today, is to learn how to self-activate. Because if you're using plant medicine, which there's nothing wrong with plant medicine, I've done it before, but you have to learn how to activate these things, the DMT and other resources within the mind's eye, in order to move beyond utilizing a crutch that activates these psychoactive components within the brain. So you can do that, because I've been able to do that, and I'm no one special. I just know everybody on the planet, well, that has a soul can do this, because there are people on this planet without souls. But that's a whole different conversation, and that gets into really weird esoteric stuff, which I will be, in addition to spiritual teachings, get into esoteric, because I've been given esoteric information as well, dealing with, crazy stuff. But that's maybe for a different video. So for now, I want you to really focus on how you can move and begin to move through the etheric. Now, some of you may go, well, Joe, I'm afraid to go out of my body because they're like bad guys or, whatever out there, evil stuff. Well, as long as you come from a place of the heart, the seat of the soul, And there's debate on where the soul resides in the body. I can absolutely tell you it's within the heart, the high heart, and I will go into more detail about that in a different video because that's very important for everyone to know. And I'll go into consciousness, subconsciousness, how we work through this, the toroidal fields that are emanated from the heart, how that's where our memories and Akashic records and a number of other things are stored. But anyway, that's a different video. So for now, just focus on this. And then what you'll begin to notice, and this is actually a little bit more of an advanced teaching, but I want to share this with you real quickly. So we are all familiar with, let's say, belief. You know, you've got to have a strong belief structure. And then what do people say? Well, we actually have to go beyond belief, and then we have a knowing, right? So we have a knowing. So, but what I want to point out about belief and knowing is that they are individualized. So the next component, which nobody has ever talked about, and this is actually one of the things that I made the agreement, which is important to hold on to that word agreement, with my guides, that I would teach things that had never been taught before. So the next phase, which is getting beyond human and moving into the supernatural, which is where I want each and every one of you to move, is agreement. So agreement is beyond knowing. And what happens in the agreement phase? Well, it's actually really cool because once you start learning how to master moving around the etheric and some other things that I'll share with you, when you get to agreement, you actually have an alignment with Source. So Source comes down and creates an attunement. So this attuning is where the information begins to become shared. This is really cool because it means that each and every one of us can connect with Source. We can have amazing learnings that are given to us. And as far as I know, this information has never been shared in this way before, but it is the Law of Attunement, or attuning, which I will go into more detail because this is a law that was specifically given to me. It's never, well, I'll say over 1,000 years, been presented on Earth the way I am going to present it. And the Law of Attunement deals with the expansion of consciousness, because what happens here is your consciousness is really this big. Happens here is your consciousness gets a little bit bigger. But what happens here is your consciousness grows. It has to, because now you have the tools, the fundamental teachings, sorry, I get excited, the fundamental teachings that allow you to attune your frequency to a higher level to create and establish this connection. So begin playing with the etheric in your etheric body, moving outside of your physical body to begin to understand exactly how you can play in the etheric. And again, these are things that Spirit, my guides, actually showed me in the very beginning. So I'm trying to keep you step by step, although this is a little bit more of an advanced hack. But this is really where I want to get you to, and I wanted to share this because I want you to know that there is a positive outcome for each and every one of you. And if you're watching this video, then you are destined to be here to understand what I am sharing with you. And for any reason that I'm going too fast or something doesn't make sense, please leave a comment in the comments below, because I'm trying to be active on this new YouTube channel that I just launched. And I want to make sure that I am teaching things in the right way. I'm really excited to do this. And so please, like I said, leave a comment, share the video, do all the things, because it will only be picked up and resonate with people at a consciousness where they're ready to expand their consciousness and accept these ancient teachings. And I can guarantee you these are sacred ancient teachings. That was my agreement with Spirit. That is why I was nudged to bring it out in this time of chaos, because we all need to be able to expand our consciousness. So with that, in love, I love you guys. Thanks very much for tuning in today, and we'll see you on the next video.